thanks for tuning in. If you're listening, if you're watching, also same thing there. Definitely thanks for watching. But Joe, let's jump right in. We got a few things, more like media stuff that's been happening recently.
Yeah, so like I think right now we're just gonna go off on not necessarily a little tangent or whatever, but we're gonna go off on some people. So
For sure.
right. So the first one is, and I love this player. We had a discussion the other day about whether he's Hall worthy or not. Don't think he's quite there. His early numbers indicated when he was with the Timberwolves that he absolutely would be there. I mean, he was a 25, 14, 15 rebound guy for 6-7 years straight. Didn't win shit while he was doing it. Like, could not win games, but the numbers were there. Went to Cleveland, won a championship. Had some issues fitting in Cleveland, and now had some issues last year. And then, did you see his little outburst the other day?
Yeah, it was crazy.
We're talking about Kevin Love, obviously. But just nuts that he would do that.
Yeah, so it's funny. I've watched the videos, and like, there's no video actually that like tells you what the time and score of the game is. Like every angle is just you see what's happening, right?
Yeah.
You see the event that happens. So I went back and looked. I was like, okay, is there any way that like I can figure out some sort of timeline here? And people on the internet figured it out. But essentially, and I'll let you explain what happened, but I'll just give you time and score at this point. Third quarter, down 2 possessions. That's it. It's a 2-possession game. And now, Joe, what exactly happens?
Yeah, so they're in the middle of this hotly contested game, and, the Cavs aren't great.
No.
But, you're still trying to build something there, and they've exceeded my expectations so far this year. So anyways, frustrated Kevin Love, which we've seen before. We've seen him like throw the ball at Sexton's feet, when he had a mismatch last year.
He's waved off like a pick and roll or a play at some point.
Exactly, where he's just like, no, and he wants to be the guy and he wants to win. Totally get that.
Sure.
Completely understand. But anyways, this time upset over some non-calls that have been going on throughout the game. Feels like he's getting, hit and everything. Goes to take the ball out of bounds and just like taps it back into play. Like, instead of taking it from the official, and making a pass, just taps it right in, goes right into the Raptors, who grab the loose ball and make a 3-pointer. And that right there, really changes the complexion of the game. I mean, when your leader, your veteran presence, your player does something like that, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like, here's the deal. Let's back up, 2 years? He signs a massive contract, by the way.
Yes.
On his own accord. He gets
Yes.
offered. Now, was he going to get 4 years, $130 million or $60 million from somebody else? No. But that's fine. He chose to sign that contract. He full well knew that this was going to be a rebuild.
I'll make one argument
Sure.
for that, okay? I agree. He took the money. This is what he signed up for, okay? I think the Cavs lied to him, JR, and Tristan Thompson by saying, hey, you know what? I think we're still a playoff team, and we're going to move pieces around to still try to compete.
Sure.
They didn't do shit.
No, of course. They got obviously worse. Like, they went into rebuild mode after that.
Exactly, right afterwards. So, but Kevin Love should have known that was going to be the case, no matter what Kobe Altman told him, right?
And I'm not saying you're wrong in what you're saying. You're obviously right. It sounds like there's a possibility that they might have lied to him or led him astray. Let's not use the word, a business owner lies? Shocker. No, but Kevin Love is a smart man. We know that. He needs to look around and go, even with Tristan and JR, we're probably not making the playoffs. Or it's an 8 seed at best. Like, this team was not very good, even with LeBron there. Like, we noticed that there was flaws all throughout that team that LeBron covers up, right? We know that. That's with every squad. We're seeing it with the Lakers right now. Like, they're terrible even with AD, they're not very good.
Well, I mean, just for more proof of that, JR, after LeBron left, is pretty much out of the league.
Done.
Tristan Thompson is the 4th, 5th guy off the bench for the Celtics. Doesn't really play much.
And it's not fitting well there.
Yeah.
So
your 2 starters, 2 really important players on the 2016 NBA championship team, once LeBron left, their careers are pretty much over.
Done. And so I say all that to say, again, Kevin Love took the money. Sure, maybe got led astray, but is also smart enough to know, even being led astray, this wasn't going to be a good team.
Right.
They start a rebuild. we now have seen in a player movement era, you can go to ownership and ask for a buyout or ask for a trade or just ask for to not play anymore. Like we've seen James Harden was like, I'm not going to play until something happens. LaMarcus Aldridge, we find it best that I want like a trade and I'm not going to play anymore. Blake Griffin, same thing. All those guys at one point, really, really high level careers have kind of fallen apart. Kevin Love, same idea. Averaging 12 points a game. That's clearly not Kevin Love now, right? Like,
damn.
Go to ownership if you don't want to be there, even though you might love Cleveland as a city and you've done a whole lot there. I'm not taking any of that away. But as a basketball player, if you don't want to be in a rebuild and be there, then ask to leave. Because the shit that you pulled a couple nights ago, that's bullshit.
And it's not the first time.
It's not the first time.
Yeah.
Those young dudes are grinding. Like they are, everybody knows it sucks. They're all walking to the arena thinking we're going to get our asses kicked tonight. Right. It's not just you, Kevin Love. It's everybody. It's Chetty. It's Larry Nance, who now is out. It's Delly. Delly's back and he's getting his ass kicked. Like everybody's in a shitty situation there. So don't be the one guy that thinks that like it's worse on you because you're a veteran.
Because you know you've been there, you've won before, you know, all that.
Then leave.
So.
Then leave.
Yeah.
Like ask for a trade and go to Portland where you're going to be a 6th seed and not do much better.
Here's the thing though. No one wants him right now.
Nobody wants him.
He has 2 years, $60 million, $30 million a year the next 2 years. Guaranteed. So no one's trading for that.
And that's why your options are retire, like literally, like say you're done, focus on mental health and stuff, which you have a massive passion for, which was incredible.
That's great, yeah.
Focus on that, or show up and do your job and go to work. Like the Kyrie Irving is an outlier thing. Like some people apparently can just take personal time whenever the hell they want, and it's fine. But he's also very, very still good, and like you can afford that. Right. With Kevin Love, like you don't really have a shot anymore. So it's like, take your money, go away. Or be an example for young guys. And right now you're not doing either. And let's fast forward, Joe. You obviously saw he apologized.
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hollow to me. Because the only reason he apologized was because he felt like he needed to, because he looked like an ass.
Apologize with your actions moving forward.
Exactly.
Prove it.
Say you fucked up. Of course you did. We know you did. You know you did. That's not, we don't need you to tell me that. But now work your ass off the end of the season and stick around for this rebuild because it ain't getting any easier.
I mean, he's only played in 19 games so far. But like, and I know he's been hurt. Did you ever think that we would see it a day though? Even in like the back end of his career where Kevin Love would be averaging only 6 rebounds?
No, because he was averaging like 15 at one point. Like we've dropped now down essentially 8 or so rebounds a game from 5 years ago.
Like even when like Charles Barkley had those back problems and the weight issues and was in Houston for the last 2 years and had nothing. I mean, he was still pulling down 10 rebounds a game because with positioning and stuff, you could still do that. So is he going to be the focal point of the offense? Obviously not. And that's probably the biggest thing for him is that he's not a focal point anymore. And not that he was when he was in Cleveland, but they were winning, and they were winning with LeBron
for sure.
Now that they're losing, and he's not the focal point,
right? And it just comes down to like there comes a point in your career where you have to make a decision, and it's am I a leader or am I just kind of a veteran that's going to be on the bench and not do nothing but lead?
Yeah.
Or am I going to be a part of this and play my ass off and be a part of it? Both of those are okay as long as you're doing one of those roles, being a veteran and being a leader, or being a part of the squad. He's not really doing either at the moment. Yeah. And that's annoying to me as you're getting paid $30 million, where some guys are getting paid fractions of that and playing their ass off every night.
All right. There's been like some old heads in the media right now just talking stupid shit.
Yes.
Like just
like they're bored.
Like complete asinine. Like I don't even what are you doing?
Yeah, just bored. Like and talking out their ass for sure.
Tell me about some of those.
Okay, so I was just perusing social media and I come across this article that basically says that Charles Oakley and Dr. J have had some comments. Now, I found the Charles Oakley comments first because they happened first, but I also have seen these Dr. J comments. I'm going to talk about the Charles Oakley thing because that's actually quicker. Like, I think this is more just Charles Oakley, like, playing golf and just like shooting the shit and not really watching basketball and knowing what's going on.
And just being
he's a homer, right?
Yeah,
like he's a homer.
Exactly.
So first thing, Charles Oakley has 2 comments that are just ridiculous. He first talks about Julius Randle, because Julius Randle, by the way, having a phenomenal season.
Oh, I love Julius Randle.
Great.
Knicks are one of the best stories right now.
I want to make sure that I want to make this disclaimer very quickly. This is not shitting on Julius Randle.
No, he's
what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
This is just me defending the comment, or just giving some education on the comment.
Yeah.
So Charles Oakley comes out and says that Julius Randle is a better version of Zion Williamson. Okay. So you can laugh.
That's just so.
It's wrong.
Yes.
There's no other way to put it. It's just wrong.
It is like, okay, we can all have our opinions on things.
Of course. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. And like,
I can't tell him his opinion's wrong, but I can tell him with fact it's wrong.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yes.
Yes, you can make arguments.
Sure.
Like back and forth.
Debates. Great.
Yes. There is zero actual argument for this.
Joe, do you want to know what wins debates? Facts.
Yeah, facts.
Like, we can debate things all we want, but when you have actually 2 players that are playing at the same time in the same era and literally side by side, and we have stats to compare them, we can debunk the debate.
So we can debunk the debate.
We can.
Okay. So give me those stats, Matthew.
I'm not even going to give you stats because it's not worth it. But essentially, here's what I'll give you. Zion at one point, and still to this day, is averaging almost 30 points a game on 60+% shooting.
Dumb. Just stupid.
Full on dominating.
Yeah.
From 15 feet in.
Right.
Now, you might ask me if I'm Charles Oakley, I would say, well, Matt, like, you're only talking about in the paint. Julius Randle shoots threes. Sure, he's shooting more threes this year, though, than he's ever shot in his entire career. He's shooting more shots than he has in his entire career, which, sure, he's shooting them efficiently, but more volume means more chances to score, which means probably a higher percentage of points, right?
Yes.
So, again, I'm not taking anything away from Julius Randle. What I'm telling you is, if you ask me to put Julius Randle or Zion on a team and start them, the answer is Zion 10 out of 10, 12 out of 10.
Yeah, and you're stupid if you do anything else.
I'm not picking. And defensively, we know Julius Randle has improved. He's doing better defensively. Yes. But Zion can be a world-class defender at some point with more work and more coaching and just effort. Right now, he is exerting every ounce of effort offensively because they can't score without him. So,
they
now the Knicks can't either, but they're a really, really good team defense because of Tom Thibodeau.
Right.
So this is just this isn't an argument to me, and it's because it's a homer argument. Charles Oakley obviously is defending his guy. Sure, great. But if you want to just go bare facts, it's not an argument. Zion will be MVP multiple times at some point in this league.
Yes.
Julius Randle will never sniff that. I know this year people are going to say he's not sniffing.
He might get some like 4th or 5th place votes or something like that.
But Zion will be top 3 for the years to come and win some every year. You know, so
absolutely.
You can go if you want, but like I don't think there's really much to talk about other than he's just being a homer.
I just want to talk about like why Oakley is still a homer. Like I know he played most of his career there for the Knicks, but they've treated him like shit.
They treat him like shit. If I'm him, I'd be like Zion's infinitely better than Julius Randle. Fuck the Knicks. I hope the Knicks get knocked out in the first round. Like
it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
He's like, I guess he's just New York through and through, I guess. I don't know.
And like maybe when you've been there forever, you love New York as a whole. Like, sure. Okay. Let's talk about the second comment that came out. This actually came out, I don't know if it was in the same breath or if it was after, but he also said this. He said, he was talking to somebody, and he basically was like, why the hell does Anthony Davis shoot threes?
You know what? Because he makes them more than you did, Charles. Like, what the hell is that? Like, okay, this isn't... AD is not Embiid, like, who floats around the perimeter and doesn't get involved in the offense, you know, and has that tendency to, you know, stay out there. AD still posts up.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, from the elbow there. It's just that he has added range to his games where he can pop out and hit that.
And this just screams a comment from a guy that's not watching the NBA.
Yeah, that hasn't watched the NBA in like 10 years.
Like,
at least.
The answer why AD is shooting threes is because if he can hit 4 a game or 3 a game from there, that means that guys now have to close out on him and then he can dominate you in the paint. Or he creates space for LeBron.
Do you know why AD really shoots threes?
Yeah.
Is because everybody in the NBA has to fucking hit threes now.
No matter what.
Like it just has to happen.
It has to happen.
Like there's maybe 4 or 5 guys who don't or can't, who are actually rotation players.
Yeah.
In the entire league right now.
And there are series where they're rendered useless.
Yes.
Because they can't shoot threes.
Exactly.
Sorry. Like, it just is. So that's why he's shooting threes. Because one, he can make them really well. And two, he doesn't want to be rendered useless in a series like some big men will come this playoff time. They will.
Yeah.
So Hassan Whiteside at one point was seen as like a commodity, something you had to have.
Right.
Doesn't even have a chance on a roster anymore because he can't shoot.
I mean, you can go back 10 years ago and go to Roy Hibbert. Who was, instrumental in defending LeBron when he was with the Heat and stuff. And 2 years later, he's out of the league.
Times change, man. That's why AD is shooting threes. All right, my favorite one. This is the one that I've been waiting for since it came out, since I read about it, because I'm going to let you go, or I can go first. I don't care, but just get ready because we're about to have a history lesson here, just for everybody that's listening and viewing here. There's going to be a history lesson, so lock in for a second. But the comment was from Dr. J, whom, by the way, massive face of the NBA, incredible person, great guy, phenomenal player, highlights, the afro, some of the best highlights we've ever seen ever, still to this day, are Dr. J.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to make very clear, this is not a shit on Dr. J thing.
The original foul line glider.
100%.
Actually.
Like,
so, before Jordan.
The rock the cradle dunk, like we all know it. So here we go. This man came out and made two all NBA teams, top elite teams, and LeBron isn't anywhere on any of those teams. Why? Because, quote, LeBron led the charge for super teams, end quote. If you have a different quote or more full quote, go for it. But that's basically what he said. So now, Joe, let's debunk another thing here about why this is just infinitely wrong.
Well, one, if it smells like bullshit, it's bullshit.
Hey, that's facts.
Yeah. So, but two, anyways, off the top of my head, I can think of two teams in the last, 30, 40 years that have won NBA titles or not been super teams, right? That didn't have multiple Hall of Famers in their prime.
And who are those teams, Joe?
The Mavericks in 2011.
Yep.
And the Detroit Pistons in 04, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah. In that somewhere in that range. Yes.
Right. 04, 05.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only two teams to do it. You go back before the 1980s. Hell, you can go back into the 70s.
Oh, just wait.
You can go back to I'm trying to think. Even look at Dr. J's teams. He won 2 titles for the 76ers in the 1980s.
Yep.
Okay. Who was on that team, Matt?
I have a full-on history lesson.
Okay.
So I can answer that question? No, I'll answer it.
Yeah.
But you just set me up. You gave me a great softball with everything you just said. So ready for this?
Yeah.
Everybody lock in, because if you didn't know the history of the NBA, you're about to in about 5 minutes. 55 years ago this year. So from 55 years ago this year, Boston had just won its 8th consecutive title of the 60s.
Yeah.
If that's not a super team, I don't know what is. I'm not saying they necessarily had superstar players, which they did, by the way. No, I'm saying.
Whoa.
But
they did.
Me thinks there's a super team out there if they've won 8 in a row. Just saying. Right. That was 55 years ago. So to answer your question, hell, in the 60s, yeah. Because in the 60s, there was a super team. It was called the Boston Celtics. Okay?
Which, by the way, they didn't have free agency or anything by that.
That was all owners. That was all owners just putting stuff together.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's fast forward to the 70s. So, I don't know if you know, but in 71, Oscar Robertson and Lou Alcindor, who then becomes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, team up. They win the title that year.
Yep.
They team up for the Lakers that year. The next year, they're a super team, winning 33 games in a row, and they win a title. Again, 2 Hall of Famers on that squad, and maybe one of the top 5 players of all time. Oscar Robertson, probably top 15, top 10.
I was about to say 2 of the top 10.
2 top 10, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Okay, so let's now fast forward to the 80s or maybe late 70s, because in that little bit there in the 70s, watered down NBA, because the ABA and the NBA are fighting to keep talent in their leagues. So you're not getting a full-on great league yet. So now ABA folds because Dr. J is absolutely tormenting the ABA over there with what he's doing. So they're like, shit, all these players are now moving to the NBA. We're going to have to fold. So the ABA folds. Now, what happens when the ABA folds? Dr. J is instantly put on the Sixers, and they're instantly a finals team. He goes to the Blazers. He scores 40-plus in an elimination game, I believe Game 7, and his team isn't good enough in 77, and they lose.
Yep.
Okay? Next year, or no, sorry, not next year, but in the 80s. So now he struggles to win a title in the 70s.
Yes.
With his team. In the 80s, Dr. J gets to the finals again against the Lakers, who, by the way, now have Kareem, rookie Magic Johnson, and a guy named Jamal Wilkes, who's also pretty good. He's not a Hall of Famer, but he's pretty good. He loses.
Right?
And Worthy too.
Yeah.
He loses to them. That's already a super team, by the way. If you didn't know, my whole thing about this, I'm just going to keep going, but my whole thing about this is Dr. J loses to super teams. Okay.
Yeah.
And foreshadowing, he then realizes, oh shit, I have to get a super team or get another superstar. So he loses to the Lakers in 80. 81, he goes to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, who have, I don't know who, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Tiny Archibald, and Kevin McHale as a rookie. I don't know. Seems like a super team. He loses. 82, he gets to the finals against that super team Lakers again. He loses. 83, what happens, Joe? He teams up with the 82 league MVP, which was Moses Malone, as Dr. J was the 81 league MVP. Oh, and what happens?
They win the title.
He wins a title.
Yes.
Okay? So now he then wins a title with that team and goes on to win the next year. He sweeps the entire playoffs the year that he teams up with Moses Malone. He only loses one game to the Lakers in the finals. He goes 15-1 essentially in the playoffs, and then wins again. And he precedes the super team, he supersedes the super team Lakers, Celtics, and then precedes the inevitable super team Bulls that had Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman, and who won 3 in a row, break 3 in a row. Then, there's the Warriors. Then there's the Celtics of the mid-2000s. Then there's the Miami Heat. All of this to say, super teams have been around since the 60s.
Yeah.
And the only reason you win a title is if you have a super team / superstars with you.
You have to have 2 Hall of Famers. In their prime.
As he knows.
Yes.
He needed a league MVP in his prime, and he needed another one in his prime.
Yes. You have to have it. There's no...
The argument is over.
Yeah.
I gave you a 5-minute history lesson of the last 55 years, and they're all super teams.
Yes.
By the way,
100%.
after 83... it goes Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Lakers, Celtics, Pistons, who were also very good at that time. And then
they won 2.
It's like, they won 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's basically a couple teams that are still really good. The Rockets are in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Who, again, have multiple Hall of Famers. The only ones, literally, that I can think of in the past 40 years were some of the ones you mentioned, and they were anomalies.
They absolutely were. That 2004 Pistons squad, really great squad.
Sure.
Really great regular season. Brought in Rasheed Wallace at the trade deadline, fit in like that. I mean, they had Iron Man. They also got Kobe and Shaq as they were fighting.
Yes.
And had no chemistry, and both wanted out.
Correct. They were, both of them separately wanted out, for sure.
Correct. Yeah. And then 2011, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. We know that's the one blemish on LeBron's career he can never take back, and we play that series over and over. It's not going the same way. So,
correct, yeah. They just weren't ready.
They weren't ready.
They didn't know how to win like that.
And that's fine.
So.
That is going to happen. So, all that to say, this is just old people trying to, these are old people be lying.
Why do they do shit like this? That I don't understand. It's right up there with Shaq, saying when are we gonna stop, or when are we gonna man up?
The thing where Candace Parker schooled him.
Exactly.
I think it's, so I'll be honest, I honestly believe it's sometimes these old guys don't watch the NBA enough because they think that because they played they can just talk about it.
And they know the game.
And they think they know the game as no matter what, from the 50s to the 2021s.
Right.
That's not how life is, bro. This game has evolved since Steph Curry stepped on this court.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be the same from where it was in the 90s, even in the early 2000s.
No, yeah.
So you got to watch to be able to figure out. But a guy like Julius Erving not being able to so consciously recognize that
LeBron is the greatest of all time, or not even a top 5 player, that to me is idiotic.
Even if he led the charge for super teams, when you're picking all NBA teams, that doesn't fucking matter.
I know.
We're just looking at stats and accomplishments. And sure, he may have teamed up to win 2 rings in Miami, but everybody teamed up to win rings. People are doing it now because Hall of Fame careers hinder on it.
Yes.
I love Dame. Dame is incredible, but at the end of the day, his resume is not going to stack up because he doesn't have titles.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge, great guy. Resume doesn't stack up.
Nope.
Blake Griffin, resume, and he didn't even make it to a finals. Resume doesn't stack up. It's unfortunate because it shouldn't be about all titles. But if you're in a bar and you're talking with people, it always comes down to titles, which is why the Michael Jordan argument is always up here.
Yes.
But I'm just being honest.
I know. I'm just rolling my eyes.
No, I know.
It's ridiculous.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks that it's all about titles, and so you have to team up to win one now. And so shout out Dr. J for thinking that he didn't do it, but he did, man. I don't know if you have selective retrograde amnesia or something, but you did it.
Yeah, you had some good ass teams.
In 83, and by the way, historians think that 83 Sixers team may be one of the best teams of all time. Like, they're up there as like top 5 best teams of all time. So you can't tell me that you didn't have a super team that's been considered one of the best teams of all time. So
you think it was just Julius Erving, that was it? Like, I mean,
does Julius Erving just think that he did that on his own? Because Moses Malone would have something to say about that.
I know, right?
Like, I don't, so, whew, I gotta calm down, because that pissed me off. One, because I love to defend LeBron to the death, but two, like, he's just forgetting history at that point.
Yeah, do you think he legitimately thinks or do you think he's trolling, or?
I think it's just trolling, and we can address something really quick. LeBron had some negative headlines out in the news this past week or week and a half, like with some comments he made on social media about just like police officers and whatnot.
He jumped the gun on something.
100%.
Yeah, it happened here in Columbus, actually.
Yeah, it did. So. And he jumped the gun. He didn't have all the facts, and something else in the world, obviously the Chauvin case, the verdict had just come down, and so he was basically on a emotional high, or emotional, roll. And he decided to parlay that into making a comment before he had some information. Yeah. And he poorly worded it, because I know what he was trying to say, but he poorly worded it. And he's been taking some heat. I don't know if this is a part of it. People are trying to pile on LeBron for a little bit of this week, which he might deserve in terms of other things. But in terms of basketball accomplishments, this is asinine.
It's so stupid, dude.
So there's your history lesson from both Joe and I. Dr. J was not alone in winning his titles. He didn't do it on his own, and he needed help. Like everybody does, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
facts and opinions are just like it's okay. It's a fact that you could have LeBron as your second or third best player.
Sure.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Okay.
Because we can't compare. It's hard to compare Jordan and LeBron because their stats aren't in the same time.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay.
Different NBAs.
I'm going to defend, and you are going to defend to the death that LeBron is the best.
Correct.
But if someone had him second or third, that doesn't necessarily bother me.
No, not at all.
But to leave him off like 2 all-time teams or whatever, like,
which basically means he's 11 plus on your list.
Okay, you're just wrong. Like,
yes,
we're getting out of the world of fact-based stuff.
Yes,
and we're getting into just being wrong.
Passionate opinions.
Yeah,
which do not mean they're facts.
Correct.
And again, just because Joe and I get up here and defend LeBron to the death, that does not mean that is a fact. We are passionately defending what we believe. However, there are things that are just, I can show you history and tell you that you're wrong.
Yes.
You can still have your opinion, but you can still be wrong. So
you can say the earth is flat. You're still wrong.
You're still wrong, Kyrie.
Right?
It's not. But yeah, so we can move on. But Dr. J, you're wrong. History tells you you're wrong. But thank you for giving us something to talk about on our podcast. Okay, let's quickly transition into just let's talk about just this season that's left.
Dude, it like flew by, right?
Crazy.
Like, can you believe this? I mean, after tonight, most teams have like 8 or 9 games left. That's it.
Yeah, recording this on a Thursday, end of April, basically, April 29th, 2 days left.
Yeah.
Yeah, some teams are down single digits.
And is everybody getting 72 in?
I think that that's why they didn't release the second half of the schedule, because everybody's going to get 72.
Yeah.
That may mean that you're going to do 9 and 12 days, but you're getting 72. So everybody will get it unless something happens towards the end.
I mean, that's a great accomplishment.
Isn't that insane?
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, especially after coming from the bubble.
No kidding.
And what we saw last fall with, games being canceled left and right.
100%. To get 72 in with only really a few things that you had to postpone and cancel.
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable.
Massive.
So, Joe, let's talk about it. Let's talk about some teams, just headline teams here that are making some noise based on their play or some moves or whatever the case is. We have to start with Boston. I feel like every podcast episode we're either like, here's their run, and now they've lost. Well, they just won last night, but they had lost 3 in a row. I think all 3 were to shitty teams, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So
they're 6-4 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Which is just basically really what they've done all season.
Yeah, just average. Yeah.
Like, they'll win 3 or 4 games in a row, and you're like, they're finally getting together.
Yeah.
And then they'll lose, like you said, 3 in a row to just asinine, teams. They don't have their point differential is terrible, actually. It's
I was looking at the standings. It's nuts.
1.7?
Yeah. It's bonkers.
Yeah, you can't win like that. Like, I mean...
No, I completely agree.
How did this team just fall apart like this? Like,
I don't know, man.
I mean, for the last 4 years or so, they've been, conference finals. You could pencil in conference finals.
Yeah.
If not conference finals, Eastern Conference semifinals where, they take them to 6-7 games. Like, legitimate contenders.
No doubt.
Didn't matter if Kyrie was gone. Didn't matter if Hayward was, out. They get rid of Horford. Whatever. You still pencil them in. This year, man, they've taken a massive step back. They have zero depth. There is not any NBA players or NBA rotational players on that team outside maybe their top 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
At this point. And they just, and it's nuts. And at some point, do we look at Tatum and Brown and do we say, you should be able to carry this team better than you guys are doing right now?
Not to mention Kemba Walker's on that team. I mean,
yes.
By the way. I know he's not right, but, he's
Correct.
on that team.
No, he is.
But, yeah.
But, and then, you have those 3 guys, and then you have Marcus Smart, who, I really like, and like his hustle, obviously. It's weird to me that he is their leader, their emotional, their guy. I don't get it.
Yeah. He just got suspended a game for offensive language towards an official, which always makes me wonder, did he threaten to kill him? What did you have to say to an official to get suspended a game that you didn't, that nobody knew about until now? Did you threaten to murder his entire family? I'm being serious.
No, I don't know.
I've never I'm sure I've seen that people are getting suspended for that, but this came out and I was like, oh, it's Marcus Smart, which means we know he's a hothead. Did he basically threaten to kill this person?
I know, because it if he said to the referee, "Fuck you," is that a game suspension?
No, it's a technical, and you move on.
Yeah.
So he had to have said something pretty serious. It said literally aggressive or offensive or aggressive language toward an official.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, this team is lost. I'm looking at the bracket. They're playing Milwaukee right now. There's no chance they compete with Milwaukee, and even if they win that, then they play Philly, and there's no way they're competing with Philly.
No.
They're just screwed.
So they won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had won 6 in a row.
Yeah.
Going into last week, basically.
And then they lost 3 in a row.
And then they lost to...
Or no, maybe 4 in a row.
Oh, they lost to Chicago.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Chicago.
They go and they beat the Suns.
Yeah, great. That was a huge win, by the way.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought that was big.
Yeah.
And
then
they
lose to the Nets while only scoring 104 points against the Nets.
Which, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah,
they give up 110 easily. And then Charlotte, right?
And then they lose to Charlotte, and then they lose to Oklahoma City.
That was...
What is with this team?
Joe, let me give you a stat. Let me just give you a stat really quick. Oklahoma City at that point had lost 14 in a row and was trying to lose 25 in a row because they had they had 11 games left. They lost to that team. That was tanking and wanted to lose.
Yes.
Oklahoma City is basically no, Boston, you don't understand. We don't want to win this game.
Here, you take it. No,
and Boston's no, you got it. We're not good enough. And Oklahoma's no, you don't understand. We suck. And Boston's okay, bet, hold my beer. And they lose. It's insane to me. And then they go and beat Charlotte last night or 2 nights ago, whatever. So, good for you. You beat Charlotte. You're finally on a winning streak again. But this team doesn't make sense.
No, I don't understand.
So, no more breath on the Celtics. They're lost. They're a 6 seed. That's all they are. Let's talk about the Lakers, though, because we have some cool news. We knew that AD was coming back. He's been back, and it's been rough.
Yeah.
To say the least.
It has. You expected a little bit of an adjustment period, though, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And he doesn't look, obviously, in midseason form right now.
No.
He's got time to get there, though. I'm not worried. You worried?
No, I'm not worried, but I will say this basically this affirms the idea that, AD's still, I know he's getting healthy, but he's still not a number 1 guy.
Ooh.
Without help.
Okay.
And I love Anthony Davis. Again, I don't want this to be a shit on Anthony Davis segment. I love AD. But can we make the argument that LeBron puts AD in really, really good positions and gets the best out of him?
LeBron does that with everybody.
So, and I'm not saying if you take Joel Embiid on this team, there's still not a drop off because the supporting cast is not very good. It's good, but it's not very good.
There's no stars outside those two. They're a bunch of role players, and they're good role players, and they know what they're supposed to do. And Vogel has them playing insane defense.
The defense is insane.
But they don't have outside of Schroeder. They can't score a whole lot.
So the reason I bring this up is again, I believe in the Lakers. Obviously, if they're fully healthy, as constructed right now, let's say LeBron is not in the picture in the playoffs, and let's say AD gets back to normal form, midseason form, last year form. What's their ceiling with no LeBron and AD? Sorry, no LeBron and just AD.
And just AD, I think they lose to like the Jazz or something like that.
So then, I'm not saying that confirms my argument, but confirms my point. What it confirms though is like this team is only a finals team with LeBron. Now flip this.
I was about to say,
flip this. With just LeBron, no AD, where does this team go?
I mean, I still think I don't think they're necessarily like the favorites or it's like, you know, carved in stone or anything like that. But I still think this is a finals team.
Yeah. So there's my difference. LeBron makes this thing go.
I mean, it's hard to argue.
They've lost, by the way, like since he's been back. Again, I know he's rusty.
Yeah, real rusty.
Real rusty. They've lost to the Mavericks by 15. I think they've lost to the Mavericks twice, actually. Because he came back on that Thursday. Yeah, they lost the game. He came back
after being up 17 in that game.
Correct. They lost that game. First game back, he loses. They lose to the Mavericks again on Saturday. So 2 days later, they lose again.
Right.
Then they beat the Magic, which, like, again, shout out beating the Magic, I guess. Like, that's good.
Win the games they're supposed to right now until LeBron gets back, I guess, you know.
But they lost to the Wizards last night. And I know the Wizards have been on a tear, but, like, you can't lose to the Wizards.
No.
So they're 1-3 in their last 4 games with AD. And you were hoping that AD would help them hold serve, and right now they're not holding serve. I know they played a better team in the Mavericks, who right now are actually trying and fighting to not be in the plan, which they've done.
Right.
I'm sorry, like, I'm now almost getting worried that, like, the Lakers may drop to the 6th line.
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
They're only a game and a half ahead now of the 6th line.
They might drop to 6, I guess. I don't think so. I do think, though, that, like, make no mistake, if this were the playoffs right now, LeBron would be playing.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Like, I don't necessarily think he's 100% healthy right now. But, like...
No. Yeah.
But if this was the playoffs...
He was running and doing stuff. I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that. Like, I know LeBron isn't worried about the 5 or the 6 or whatever. I know he's not. But right now, if you're the 6, do you know who you play?
Who's in the Clippers, right?
You play the Clippers.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that first round. They want that in the finals, which would be if they're the 5 seed. I
would just kind of love to see the Lakers knock out the Clippers in the first round. I'm just saying.
No, of course, but like, but if I'm the Lakers, I don't want to play the Clippers the first round. Now that I think they're going to lose, but that could be a tough series.
You're coming out of the gates and you're not giving yourself a margin for error.
Correct. And I don't want that. Like if I'm the Lakers, but they're going to play whoever they play.
I mean, if they're the 5th seed, it's the Nuggets. I mean, that's
but without Murray, that's not as scary.
True. Even though they are 7-3.
Still crazy. Jokic has been unbelievable.
Yeah, they've won 3 in a row.
Anyway, so all that to say,
did you see his block on Zion last night?
Yeah, it was a foul, but
it was
a block too. It was a block, but he hit him in the head, so like that's a foul. But but the fact that he tried that, he was there, so that's huge. Okay, but sorry, I know we were talking about the Lakers. Let's talk about that front court because now that AD's back, it's massive.
I mean, you basically have 5 guys in that, you know, center / power forward role or whatever. It'll be interesting to see how they do this rotation. I mean, Harrell didn't even play the other night against the Mavs.
Didn't even play.
Had a DNP. Montrezl Harrell, $6 million a year last year. Had a DNP. And Vogel had talked to him before that and said, "Hey, you're probably not going to get in, like this game."
But why?
You want to see? I don't know. I don't know if it's rest or just trying to see. Like Vogel is very much someone who, and we saw this last year, right? He tinkers with lineups all the time.
All the time. Like every game, it seemed like their starting lineup was different.
Correct. Or, you know, their rotation.
Which I respect.
Which their rotation is different, anything like that. And he wants to see what he has, and he wants to keep guys sharp. So, like, I don't know. Do you trust him to be able to keep those 5 guys? And do you trust Vogel to keep those 5 guys engaged? Kind of like he did last year, you know, with it sort of the same thing, but this is much deeper now.
Yeah, in my opinion, Harrell has to play until the end of the game where he can't defend anybody and he's not a great free throw shooter. So, like, maybe he doesn't play towards the end. But you got to get scoring from somewhere at some point. He has to play.
When LeBron and AD are sitting, you have to have scoring somehow.
Yes, and he's like the guy that you have to stagger with AD, right? Like when AD comes out or LeBron comes out, when one of them comes out, Harrell has to go in because you're dropping off 5 points a quarter, 6 points a quarter, and Harrell can supplement that.
Yes.
The other 4 Gasol, Morris, the other three, Gasol, Morris, and Drummond, in my opinion, you basically just move those guys as foul trouble occurs, right? Like, those are basically like, or matchups occur.
I was about
right?
to say matchups because with Morris, I mean, if you know, as a defender, Markieff Morris is a very good defender.
He can body you up and he'll intimidate you for sure.
And he can also guard, you know, bigger threes. And he can close out better than these other guys.
For sure.
And, you know, guarding the perimeter. So I think that's going to depend on it.
But, like, your Drummond and your Gasol, those are basically, like, you just put them in as matchups deem and, like, foul trouble deems. Because I love Drummond. He kills the Nets. Like, he will be him and AD will murder the Nets inside.
Yes.
But outside of that, he's not a huge commodity against some of these teams, and maybe the Jazz. But even then, AD is a killer for the Jazz because he can move and get Gobert out of the middle. So, like, I just worry about Drummond like being a focal point of anything because he can't really do a whole lot in terms of just around the rim.
Drummond and Gasol against the Jazz, I think, are unplayable.
No, I agree. No, I 100% agree.
Because you're just keeping Rudy by the basket.
Correct. So,
I mean, Gasol can stretch him out a little bit, but Gobert's so long and so good at recovery that it really
without being
matter.
able to, without Gasol being able to be a threat inside, like or off the dribble, he's virtually unplayable. So now that brings you down to Harrell, Morris, and AD, which is great.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
No,
that
not
works.
mad about that at all.
Yeah.
But it just renders the other two pretty much unplayable, like you said.
Right.
But Drummond will be playable against the Nets if that's what happens.
Yeah. Against the Nuggets, against
the Nuggets and Clippers.
Yeah.
So he's gonna play.
Right.
But it's all matchups.
Yes.
But what it is they've built the team so that they have the luxury of doing that, which is huge.
Yeah. It's just Vogel massaging egos and, you know.
Which will help when LeBron comes back because he can help do that too.
Yeah. I'm
sure LeBron is doing that behind the scenes, and it's hard to do that behind the scenes without playing. Like, you can talk all you want and say all you want, but, like, you want to be on the floor doing that. So, I just want him to come back. That's all I want.
I also think Harrell is at the point in his career where, like, he went to Lakers to win a championship. He's okay with sacrificing some of his points and some of his touches.
Yeah, for this year.
To win. But it's not going to be a long thing. He wants to win his title, and then he's going to want to...
And he'll get his money somewhere else. It's you win your title and then you can make some bank somewhere else. So like for this year you're gonna have to sacrifice so you can get that money down the road.
Right.
So hopefully he actually sticks to that.
And learn some defense
for sure.
Too, so
all right, so I'm gonna give you the floor for this because it sounds like this is something you need to get to.
I just need to get it off.
It's like a personal thing for you.
It really is.
So let's talk about the Hawks for you.
Because you know I'm not the biggest Trae Young fan.
No, for sure, and I'm not either.
Yeah.
But go for it.
I mean, but the Hawks are in the 5th spot right now. They have a positive win differential.
Yep.
Like they are. I mean, they're just as good as the Celtics. You can say that. I mean, they're higher seeded than the Celtics right now.
Oh yeah, they're everything the past 10 games tells me that they're better than the Celtics.
I'm not saying obviously that they are contenders. And then did you hear Shaq the other day?
No. Well, maybe.
I think I texted you about this when he said,
"Oh
I think the Hawks are 2 pieces away from winning, or 2 pieces away."
And then what was it? Was it Barkley?
Barkley said, "Yeah, LeBron and
AD, 2 superstars away, right?"
Yeah. So, but anyways, I mean, they're having a good season. You got to give them credit. I do want to say this because he's killing it, and he hasn't gotten any credit. Clint Capella has been massive for them. I mean, massive. I mean, almost 15 rebounds a game, over 2 block shots. I mean, they're not great defensively, but he's the little defense that they have. He's it.
Yeah.
His field goal percentage is up. He is actually, if I told you that he was leading the Hawks in PER and in most, like, advanced metrics, aside from Trae Young, John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, like, it's not any of them. It's not Bogdanovich. It's Clint Capella, who's kind of carrying this team.
Him and honestly Bogdanovich. Bogey has been incredible for them recently. He's like, actually, I think they just basically were like, oh, sorry, another guy not getting credit, Nate McMillan.
Yeah, he's doing phenomenal with him.
Since he took over, they've been obviously now a playoff team.
Yes.
I think he basically was like, hey, man, Bogdanovich is incredible. Why are we not just letting him just go cook?
Right.
Like, why are you putting him in this weird role as like a spot-up shooter? Like, let's just let him go cook. And Capella's now doing incredible. Bogey's cooking.
Yeah.
Like, I think again, they're the 22nd ranked defense, so they're not going to do anything in the playoffs.
No.
But
they have some nice
pieces.
They have some really nice pieces. I mean, Capella, Trae Young.
Yeah.
Hate watching Trae Young play. I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just do.
Collins.
DeAndre Hunter. I'm still not giving up on him. Like, I think he could be.
Is it Onyewu? Is he the other guy I have there? Yeah,
Onyewu. The rookie. So.
Or is it Okongwu? Sorry.
Okongwu. Yeah. I mean, he's only getting 11 minutes a game, but, like, he could be something good, in the future. So, and then they got Sweet Lou.
Dude, sweet titty bar Lou. Okay, so is it time to give him some just due, Joe?
I think so.
Are you to that point?
They're up at the 5th seed. They're not contenders. There's in the Eastern Conference, in my book, there's only two teams that could really actually come out of the East.
Okay.
And I think we're on the same, and that's the Sixers and Bucks. But they're, I mean, where they're at right now, the 5th seed. At the beginning of the season, if I told you Hawks are going to be in the 5th seed and have a chance to move up and get into the top 4, would you call me crazy?
Yeah, this is a massive accomplishment.
Right.
Regardless.
Yeah. So I just want to give that there.
No, you're right. So. Yeah, it's about time you gave them some just due.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I've kind of been on the same train of thought as you. Just like, man, I'm not sure if they're for real, but like I have to give them their flowers.
I do like New York better though. The Knicks.
Than Atlanta?
As a playoff team. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. They're only 1.5 games.
Oh no, I know. Yeah.
But New York defensively, and the way Julius Randle was playing, I know we just talked about Capella's defense or whatever, but if that's the series, that's the 4-5 series. Knicks Hawks, like Julius Randle is going to go bonkers in that series.
Oh, for sure.
Like over 30 points a game.
Ooh, yeah, right around there. Yeah, he'll be right in that spot.
Yeah.
So, what if I told you that New York's defense was 4th in the league?
I would say, it's a Tibbs coach team, so like.
But look at that team. They don't have like defensive prowess like
no, they don't have a rim protector necessarily.
No rim protector.
Yeah.
RJ Barrett was never known as a great defender in college.
Mm-hmm. Julius Randle was not known as a good defender.
No, actually a negative on the defensive end.
Correct. Yeah.
And Tibbs has basically taken the squad and is like, I'm going to do Tibbs things, and I'm going to just put you in really, really good schemes and really good positions to be effective.
Yeah.
And he took this team. I probably should look. Actually, I'm going to look what last year they were because I can do that. They were 23rd in the league last year in defense. Obviously, different caliber players and different pieces, but
not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
To move them all the way up to the 4th ranked defense in the league is incredible. Now, offensively, they're like 23rd or 20th in the league. So, like, that needs to improve. But when you can defend at an elite level, we're seeing with the Lakers, too, and Utah as well, you don't necessarily have to be on your game offensively all the time. You can just defend at a high level. And so, if I would have told you, though, that they'd be the top 5 ranked defense in the league, I wouldn't have believed that.
No, not at the beginning of the season, even with Tibbs.
Well, yeah, right. I would have said, okay, maybe top 10, top 15, but, like, top 5?
They'll make improvements.
Yes.
But they'll be there.
So, I like them better than Atlanta as well. Let's talk about...
Contrast what Tibbs is doing in New York, right?
Yeah.
With Van Gundy and the Pelicans. Because you look at those rosters, and which roster do you want?
Oh, it's not even close. You want the Pelicans roster.
Right.
Yeah.
And Van Gundy was supposed to be this defensive genius as well, too.
Which he was at one point.
But, the jobs that they are doing are just completely different directions right now.
And you can't even say, like, oh, well, it's the players. Because you can look at that roster, and sure, they may not have the best defensive players, but neither does New York.
Yeah. And I would argue that the Pelicans, like, just on paper at least, looking at them, have better defenders.
More versatility, for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Why isn't Ingram one of the best defenders in the league? Like, I don't understand why that.
I know he can move. He just doesn't give a rip.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, I know you say you like New York better than the Hawks. Now let's talk about New York as the state here with the basketball teams. You want a Brooklyn, New York Knicks Eastern Conference Finals, Joe?
Do I want to... I don't care if it's not going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
Like, that they meet.
Yeah, it'd be in the second round at the moment.
Right, exactly.
But I'm just saying,
do I want that? No, because I want to see the Sixers or the Bucks get there. So, into the Eastern Conference Finals. However, do I want to see that matchup?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Hell yes. And you know what? I think the Knicks could win that.
Nah, no chance. But it'd be fun. And everybody would be rooting for the Knicks. Like,
and do you know how frustrated
except for
those
Jay-Z,
guys would get?
I guess, but would you say, oh, how frustrated they would get?
Yeah, the Nets.
Yeah. Oh,
how
yeah.
frustrated the Nets would get?
Yeah. I would love to see
the whining and complaining that would happen when, like, you know, they're in their grill every single time.
Yeah.
So
my worry with Tibbs, and I said this last episode, and my worry with Tibbs is he's not a great adjuster. He's really good at putting a scheme together, but he's not very good at adjusting.
Right.
I just worry that, like, whatever series he gets in, once people start to figure out the defensive scheme he's running within 2 games, is he going to be adaptable in a 2021 NBA where you have to adapt on the fly?
Yes.
And he's shown he can't really do that. Against Atlanta, he's not really going to have to. Like,
no.
If you slow down a couple guys, you're good. If you get to play Brooklyn, you're going to have to guard three superstars. One of which, who, by the way, I am on record saying this right now, maybe Kevin Durant may be the most unstoppable scorer I've ever seen. Like, he's 7'1", dribbles like a guard, posts up like a 6'8" defender, 6'8" post guy, and then hits you with a step back at 7'1", like
money from 3,
and he's money from everywhere. He had 33 points the
shot.
other night when he entered in the third quarter. Like, he basically was playing sparing minutes and scored 33.
Yeah.
I just think he's a nightmare for anybody.
Yes.
I know there's really good defenders out there. He can score on anybody.
Yes.
Anybody.
Yeah.
He's a nightmare.
He is.
You couple that with James Harden and Kyrie Irving, like, I don't care. I understand other teams will be able to score. I don't think the Knicks can score enough to beat them.
No. Yes. Brooklyn is definitely the third best team in the East. I just don't think they have a chance at the finals.
Oh, no, I agree. But, like, the problem that the Knicks are going to have is they're not going to be able to stop them every time, and they're not going to be able to score enough.
Oh, absolutely.
But Milwaukee, Philly, they'll be fine. But it's the lower teams that can't score enough, essentially.
I want to see Ben Simmons guarding Durant.
I can't wait. That'll be it, too. Because, that's the matchup.
Durant's going to get his, obviously. But Simmons is going to make it really difficult
and
for him.
Matisse Thybulle, for them, I don't know if you've watched them at all.
Yeah.
Thybulle is going to probably guard Kyrie or Harden, and he's going to lock them down. He's an incredible lockdown defender. Maybe top 10 in the league.
Yeah.
So you throw Ben Simmons, who is probably, as of right now, NBA has him as a defensive player of the year. Me too. So you put him on Durant. You then have Thybulle on one of the two, Kyrie or whomever.
Yeah.
And you basically say, okay, one of those two is going to get theirs.
Yeah.
Fine.
And they have 0 people to guard Embiid.
0. None. So there it is. All right.
Legitimately 0. Like, not a much. I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Jeff Green? Like, I mean.
DeAndre Jordan? No. You're not wrong. All right, we're going to take a break really quick, and then we'll come back and talk about some awards where we have our races, Rookie of the Year, MVP, as well as who we think, though, are some sleeper playoff teams. All right, we are back. Like I mentioned, we are going to be talking about some MVP races, some Rookie of the Year, some awards races. We'll even maybe talk about what our Coach of the Year looks like, or ballot looks like, and then finish off with some sleeper playoff teams. So, Joe, LaMelo's coming back.
LaMelo's back, baby. Or coming back.
Yeah. As of right now, what does your Rookie of the Year race look like? Is it still, because no one's really taken over, is it still LaMelo's to lose, or do you think there's somebody that's taken over the top spot?
I don't know, man. Like, if you were to ask me who's had the best rookie season, it's LaMelo.
Yeah.
Like, and there's no question about that, right? So yeah, I guess so. But you have to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
You have to play. So if I'm taking him out of that, then I think Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
I also think Anthony Edwards.
Dude, I was going to say.
Like, he's averaging 18.
And his April was really good. He stepped up big without D'Angelo Russell in, and he played really well.
For someone who doesn't really like basketball, he's played really well.
Who also didn't know who Alex Rodriguez was when he bought the team, or when he's a minority owner in the team, but
Who's on the record for saying he doesn't really like basketball.
No, he actually said I think baseball was his number one sport he wanted to play, and then he was like, but I don't really love it, but like I'll play it because I'm good. It's like, okay, well this is.
But now he's gonna be
like, damn you that you're just good enough to be all good at these sports and just set on one.
I think he's gonna win it.
You think Anthony Edwards is? I think it's still LaMelo.
You think so?
Nobody did enough.
While he's
yeah.
up. Yeah. Jayshawn Tate.
And narrative matters, too, in all these awards.
Yeah.
And the media just didn't cover the rookies well enough, like they did LaMelo.
Well, there wasn't any to cover.
Correct.
Like, Timberwolves, he can have a great season. That's fine. Like, he's almost averaging 20 points a game. They suck so bad, it doesn't matter. No one wants to touch
Can we actually touch on the Timberwolves for a second, though?
Yeah.
They've been pretty good. In their last... hold on.
Okay. Yeah, prove this to me.
I'll give you a number right now.
Okay.
3-0 against the Jazz.
All right, there you go.
There you go. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't mean anything. But they've won the two last games that they played against the Jazz in last week. They won both of them, and it wasn't like the Jazz weren't playing people. They were playing guys. They just didn't play well.
Yeah.
Cat and D'Lo, when they play together this year, which has only been I think 14 games, 14 games. They're 8-6.
Okay.
You're probably hoping it was a little better than that, but they're the Timberwolves. They're not very good regardless.
No.
Do Timberwolves have right now? Do they have reason to be somewhat optimistic when you look at that record and then you throw Anthony Edwards in and probably a top 3 pick this year, Cade Cunningham or Evan Mobley? Do you have reason to be optimistic going forward?
I think you have reason to be. I think that your expectations as a Timberwolves fan, like, I would be pissed off right now. Like, you have Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Like, that alone should at least get you, like, in the bottom of the playoff picture, right? Like,
are Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell basically the same person? I know they play different games, but like empty stats, or sorry, really good stats, but empty wins. Like basically for their entire career, that's what they both have been.
Maybe.
Is there a chance that Finch, who's now the interim coach, when there was a firing, he's actually put them both in pretty good positions to be successful. He's making Cat more of like a playmaker versus just a post-up player.
Yeah, which he should have been.
And Cat has shown that he can pass the ball pretty well.
Yes.
And now he's putting D'Lo as in like a spot where it doesn't have to be all about him, but just like go get your buckets when you need to.
Right.
If you can get Cade Cunningham in there or whomever, the defense is always going to be atrocious. It just is. But like...
Well, until you have Anthony Towns try to buy in, basically defensively, and do something.
He's getting a little better. He is. He's actually defending the wing pretty well recently since I've watched.
Yeah.
All that to say,
D'Angelo Russell's not going to be a good defender.
No.
Anthony Edwards could be a
dynamite
lockdown defender.
Dynamite defender
if he learns
for sure. Sorry, I wanted to just break in and talk about the Timberwolves and give them some sort of just due because they've been playing really well as of late.
Yeah.
But you're right. The nobody covers the Timberwolves, so Anthony Edwards was never going to get enough credit.
Right.
Regardless of how well he played. And the Kings, again, are a dumpster fire.
Yes.
So Halliburton, again, is screwed by two teams in shitty markets. So, in my opinion, it is still LaMelo.
Yeah.
But I'm a little biased, obviously.
What?
But also, I just don't think the narratives have helped anybody else but LaMelo.
So, do you think, he's your rookie?
No, he is the rookie of the year. He's not mine. I mean, he is mine. But I think he is the rookie of the year regardless.
Gotcha.
So, that is what it is.
Okay.
So, let's now talk about MVP ballot here.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it every episode, I feel like, but nothing's really changing.
No, it's Jokic.
Embiid.
Can
we have a discussion on, like, who number 3 is, I guess?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's the discussion, though, because 1 and 2 are it's a two-horse race.
Are you going Steph for number 3?
He has faltered past couple games.
Yeah.
And any push that he was maybe trying to make to be top 3 or maybe even make top 2 or hell, what if he was like, hey, I want to try to win this thing towards the end? I think it's got to be Luka now. I think what he's been doing the past several games and getting them from the 8 seed to the 7 to the 6 now, the 6 line, and pressing for the 5, it has to get some sort of recognition. It really does.
I think it's, after those two, I think it's Luka, and then I'd say Giannis.
Giannis is there, and I think Dame's there. I know he hasn't played a little bit.
And then my number 5.
Come on, throw me it.
CP3.
Yeah. Did you see him last night?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Stupid. And they first playoff berth in 10 years?
Yeah.
They clinched yesterday?
Devin Booker and him are such a good combination.
They really are.
And then you throw in just all the role players, like such a good combination. So, I actually think that maybe there's an argument for CP3 to be higher, but he's not going to be. He's just not going to be.
There really is an argument for him to be 3rd or 4th.
I mean, for sure.
Just based on what he did. But you're right. He's just not going to be because of the season Luka has. And, I mean,
honestly,
Giannis is still, 28, 11, and 6.
So dumb. He's on the same par with what he won already with. But,
yeah, but he's got to add to his game.
He does. His 3-point percentage has to get higher. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Joe, I know we kind of talked about the playoff picture a little bit ago. Are there any teams that'll make a move or be a sleeper in the playoffs, in your opinion? Is there anybody
that can like steal a series from someone?
Sure.
Ooh.
Like let's obviously I don't believe that the play-in teams can do that with anybody unless Miami somehow gets hot. But
I was going to say Miami can't.
So
steal
Miami,
a series.
do you think Miami can steal a series from Philly? That would be who they play.
From Philly, no.
Okay, so then they can't steal a series because that's who they're going to play if they win the play-in game.
Okay.
So
unless they drop it in the 8th and they're matched up with the Nets, could they steal that?
Oh well, I guess that's true.
It's possible that they could steal
that one's much better, more stealable than anything.
Yes,
correct.
But they're not stealing one from the Sixers.
But they're not going to fall to the 8th seed because I don't see them losing to Charlotte. But yes.
No.
Now let's go to the West.
Celtics. 3-6 there. 3-6. They'd be playing the Bucks in the first round. Celtics.
They're not stealing that.
No, that's 4-1, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a sweep.
Yeah. That's a gentleman's sweep or a sweep for sure.
Right.
Atlanta, New York, that's not really stealing. None of those are like stealing anything. So
no.
No one's stealing on the East side. But now let's go West.
Okay. Ooh, that 3-6 right now.
Oh boy.
Like I'm not saying that they will, but like the Mavericks, Clippers, stealable or pipe dream?
No, it's a pipe dream. That's the best chance. If there's any team that's a low seed that's going to steal one, it's going to be Dallas.
Right. And if you're Dallas, that's who you want to see. Like,
correct.
You look at those other top 5 teams, and you had your choice.
Or Denver.
Which ones do you want to play? Maybe Denver without Jamal Murray.
But yeah.
But I think you want to play the Clippers.
I'm going to be a jerk here, but I still think you want to see Phoenix at some point.
Because they
just experience.
Yeah.
I know they're good.
I mean, I get it. I get it, and it's hard to argue against that. But like, they're really good, man.
And Portland may win that play-in or whomever, and they may go up against Phoenix. And hell, Phoenix could sweep them. I'm not saying they can't.
Yeah.
But I got to see it. But yeah, Dallas is the best chance to steal a playoff series right now. But I still think the Clippers are better than them by far. So, but Luka's on a tear.
I mean, if the Lakers drop down to 6 or 7,
there you go. Then we've got to steal.
Then we got to steal
for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it's crazy. This is one of those years where like I really don't see any sort of chance that any of the top teams lose. Like I really don't. It's pretty top heavy. It's like the classic. It's 1 through 3. I mean, obviously the Lakers they're the 5 seed, but I'm considering them a top 4. So like it's 1 through 3 or 4, and then you just throw in a bunch of other teams in the playoffs and like battle it out basically. So.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking at these standings and I'm just looking at the Rockets 1-9 in their last 10 games, losing 5 in a row. The Rockets are so bad.
They're so bad. Dude, how is Oklahoma City not worse?
But Jay Sean Tate.
Dude, Oklahoma City's still not as bad as Minnesota and Houston, and they have lost 14 in a row. They must have started really hot. All right. Also, Detroit's absolute garbage.
They are.
But yeah,
dumpster fire.
There's a few dumpster fires in this league right now.
I know.
But I think that's it. Anything else you want to touch on?
No. When's LeBron get back, do you think?
Mid-May is what I've been hearing. So I would say like probably like the second week of May.
Isn't that in playoffs? Are we right there?
That would be the week before. That would be.
I guess what is today? The 29th? Oh, okay. So he's still got 2 weeks, you think?
That's everything I'm hearing.
Man.
From what I'm reading is he's still now again that might mean that like he's just taking it slow.
Yeah.
And he's already fully healthy.
Do you want to see him play a regular season game or two before he goes right into the playoffs, or you don't give a shit?
I don't give a rip about that.
You don't give a shit?
No. AD needs to, but I'm not worried about LeBron. You know that.
He's played enough basketball.
Are you asking me if I'm worried about LeBron not playing a regular season game?
Hey, he's old.
If he doesn't have to play regular season games and the team still made the playoffs, hell, let's do it. But they can't make the playoffs unless he plays regular season games. So that it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. If you got nothing else, I got nothing else. We can wrap this baby up. Thanks for listening to another episode of In the Paint. Again, we're going to be on YouTube. We'll be on all platforms streaming podcasts like normal. Check us out on YouTube. Give us a follow, a like, a subscription. We're going to try to do this every week now. Try to get back to being regular and posting this on YouTube and stuff. So lock in. I feel like we should probably at some point try to do something like interactive on social media, maybe like go live to watch a game or pose like questions on Twitter or Instagram to like talk about like a mailbag type thing for our podcast. I know a lot of podcasts do that and it's a lot of fun. So be on the lookout. Social media, maybe there'll be a question about, you know, NBA related topics that we can talk about and chat about and get some answers on the pod. But we want to try to make this more
and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We want to make this more about like less of just like talking with like you and I just shooting the shit at the bar, but like make it more interactive for people watching and listening. So we're gonna do that, but we're also gonna still shoot the shit like we were at a bar, because that's what we did this for to begin with. So but that's gonna do it. That's gonna wrap it up for another episode of In the Paint. Again, as Joe said, like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week.
Thanks, guys.